went live. Gee.
Hmm?
Well, I just went live on Twitch.
Who went
Right.
live on Twitch?
Me, and that's the first thing now. It's live. Nice.
Right.
Wait a minute, that's from something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's from one of the
Yeah.
stupid videos of
The Harry Potter
The
puppet.
Yeah.
Harry
Oh,
Potter puppet one, that's it. Oh god.
Snape. Snape.
Yeah, that.
Snape.
Dumbledore.
Let me know when you're ready, Micah.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Wait, where are you live?
Oh, I'm on Twitch on Yoinkers. Over.
Yeah,
Don't
Okay,
I
so we're
follow
not
you
watching.
yours?
We're not watching Kev's screen.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
you
we are.
can.
I'm just. Wait, am I not live?
Do you have
It
a stream
should
delay
be.
on?
I don't
Oh.
think so.
Yeah, no,
Why are we?
I'm just.
What? I'm confused. Why are we streaming as well?
For the people that are not here.
I
Originally,
usually be here.
yeah.
I'm
I
live,
asked
right?
for it, but yeah, you're live. You're live. Don't worry
Okay,
about it.
thank you. Well, it's for
Yeah, no, I think
reference.
what I might do going forward is set up one just so what I'll do is I'll set up a stream and whatever during the week then I'll VODreview say something, maybe a random week, and I'll just on my own, but I'll talk to it like you're there and I'll post it and you can look through it then on your own time then if you want, because it can be hard every week, obviously, for people to all get to a VODreview. So even if I just did one in my own time and posted it and just talked to you like it was a VODreview, it might suit people, some people who could have busy schedules because you're scaring 3 times a week, so it can be busy like.
I like the sound
Going
of that.
forward.
Instead of
Or I might.
weekly or.
No, we can still go ahead with
Oh,
weekly, but
okay,
say
yeah.
my own time. I could
Mhm.
literally do half an hour on a
No,
single,
that would
like
be
half an
perfect.
hour on a specific subject, not even a map, on a specific subject or something,
Yeah, no, that would be
and post it,
perfect.
and then you could look at it in your own time because,
Yeah,
and even if we can't do it's not a weekly, like if we can't all get to a weekly VOD, that's
yeah.
no, you're there. I could do that, do the weekly VOD if you all can't get there. I'll just do it that format.
Mhm.
As well, right? So, just on the okay, so I asked Mike to put up kind of a chat where I can post stuff. So she was put up the homework. We call it homework chat. So every week, maybe every week, not it could be every second week or whatever. I put up a single task. I put up two this week, two kind of ones this week. The idea of that was for me to get a gauge on how well everybody can self VOD review their gameplay. Okay, so everybody should be able to, or even wanting to, should look back over maybe one map of their own gameplay or so, and be able to critique themselves. Okay, it's the best. It's like the best way to learn. You can do all the mechanical practice in the world, but in Overwatch that only gets you to so far, and what really separates you then as individuals, like to get to the top level, is literally everything else, um, and that's what we're going to work on. Put a lot. That's like obviously what we're going to be doing. So the first step is kind of being able to VOD review yourself, your individual gameplay. Like when you VOD review yourself, don't be looking at what everybody else is doing. Kind of we'll be looking at what you do, what you can do as an individual, good and bad. Like it's not all about like just picking out the bad bits. Like if you think you did something like good, that's a good thing. Um, so and then the plan is going forward is at the end of a scrim, say for instance, you will decide after at the end of it, it's like right, the map this week or the map whatever, yeah, this week will be maybe one you went down in, and you just pick that map, and everybody in their own time, whatever time during the week, um, VOD reviews them themselves, writes notes, and then you can send me the notes. So then I can keep an eye on how you're VOD reviewing yourself, because I will look over that map as well. So you can just send on the notes with the scrim code on it, with the VOD code on it. I will look over the VOD and I'll kind of flick through it myself in my own time as well, and I can get a gauge and kind of how you're improving, how your kind of thought process towards Overwatch is improving. Um, but everybody will be doing the same thing. It's just you'll be doing it kind of like on your own individual play and be really critical of yourself. Like that's the best thing. And I always say this to like me, but I find because I do a bit with Hayes every now and again if he needs it, and Hayes is really critical of himself, which is a really good thing because he obviously wants to improve and will take in information. So when you're really critical of yourself, that's when you'll kind of clean up all the micro stuff that needs to be cleaned up. Um, and then the second one was just kind of looking at every other hero's kind of what their job should be. And that was on a macro scale. So like it's not up to like everybody shouldn't know the micro details of every hero in the game. That's not the idea. The idea is you should have a bare understanding of say for instance Ryan's job, or say for instance Tracer's job, all this sort of stuff, like on a macro level. Because when you're playing, you need to know that your team are doing, like, that someone's doing this job right, or that's what they're doing, and you don't have to be worrying about that person being covered. Like if there's a Tracer in play, someone should be worried. Someone like in the other team, and the Tracer constantly flanking. Like there's multiple multiple heroes who can take care of that. So everybody should know who those heroes are, and if you're running them, they should just know instinctively that that Tracer is being dealt with by that hero, or they're doing their job, at least the macro job or stuff like that. And you probably already do. It's just nice to kind of look into it and have a fair idea on what everybody else's jobs are.
Oh, I think I
Just
misunderstood your second question. I thought you meant what your own job was like.
no, it's on everybody else's job. So I gave out two. I put
Yeah.
into two kind of comps you ran. Now I didn't put in the first map because the first map was the biggest team comp difference in existence, and I'll go through that as well. But I gave year two comps, and the two comps they ran the last two maps, and I just wanted you to send me through, just even a one line on what you felt, that hero specific job is, and everybody's job. Like the big problem is, and one thing going forward we won't be doing is we won't be setting up, picking team comps on specific maps. For the main reason being, we'll have a fair idea on what team comps you should be running. But Overwatch isn't like it was where Goats was meta for fucking a year and everybody was playing Goats, so you knew the other team was playing Goats, or Double Shield, where you knew two teams were playing Double Shield on no matter what map. Overwatch now in a state where there's multiple comps being played, multiple different heroes being played, and a problem with a lot of teams are they're not able to adapt, or they're not able to adapt their playstyle to different team comps, different heroes being played. Like you could go running out with double bubble, but then the other team could run out with something that completely counters that, because double bubble isn't like the only meta played comp. So then you could be like, fuck, this is the comp we practice for this map. This is all we know. So you're stuck running it. And then when you're forced to swap, you don't really know in your different comps, like you're not sure how those heroes fit in or how they play against these heroes. So we're going to more focus on kind of we're going to more focus on different comps jobs, how to play different comps, everybody's role and your role in these comps, so that you can run any comp you want on any map and feel pretty comfortable on it. And if a team is running, say, like say they're running Winston Rush, say for instance, with like Sombra Reaper or Sombra Tracer, and your comp's being run over by it, well then you're pretty comfortable, and no matter what map you play, to switch to a different comp. I'm pretty comfortable running that comp. And even if it's a comp that you come out on the spot, at least you're pretty comfortable in all the heroes that you're playing, because you have a fair understanding on how they should be played against this comp. And I know that's a lot of kind of information. You might have picked up on all of it or whatever, but and if you have any questions on the stage, always ask me. And even going forward during the week, if you have any question at any time, just send me a text and anything. And any message that is sent to me, say on like your own individual gameplay, will never be brought back. It'll just for me to gauge on how you're getting on individually. So yeah, that's really it. So any questions you have on like your hero, any questions during the scrim you want to ask me, or even if you didn't want to ask me now but felt like you wanted to ask me after, feel free to ask or send me a message, or even give me a call, or say, can I call you like 5 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever. It doesn't bother me. If I'm available, I can, absolutely. If not, just send me a message. So yeah, going into the first match. Wait, first of all, you're all okay with that, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So first of all, you played this map, okay? So, first things first, and the reason I didn't put it up was there was big team diff comps, okay? Huge, like massive diffs in comps here, and I'll just play it up a bit. Can you tell me what the main kind of problem was between the two comps?
They have much better control of point
Mm-hmm.
because of the May.
Yeah.
Also, we went in left when they had the mayor. At least I think there was maybe miscommunication. Because we were the tryout wanted to go Doom, so we were like,
Yeah.
okay, let's.
That's the big problem, okay? Doom is grand, but not with Kree. Okay, and this is the thing. We need to know when we're as a team, as when you're picking comps, what goes well with what. And like, if you're running this brawl style comp, Doom is grand if you're running May.
Okay.
And he works even with Sim, but he does not work with Kree.
All right.
That chemistry just isn't there when you're running the Rhine and the Diva, because these heroes here, okay, want to be in the team's face. They want to be getting brawl, back out a bit, so on, so on. But you can't do that when you have a Kree and Doom in play, because Doom's going to go in, try frag, but he's getting the fuck out. Then he's out of fight for a few seconds. But you have no sustain then, or you have nothing because you're just running into your Kree and Kree's getting shit on. The idea of the May is great to split a team comp. So when they run May Doom, they'll wall off and the Doom will punch whatever in front of the wall. Or the Doom could just go in for his own engage, but the team can't speed onto you because May is still at risk. And on this map, May is broken because his map is nothing but choke points.
Mm-hmm.
Literally on the screen right now, there's all these different choke points. There's one over here, 2 over here. There's fucking literally everywhere in existence. The whole fucking map can be wall. Everywhere around here, May wall literally splits the team because there's a big fucking gaping asshole in the middle of it. So May is just so fucking broken on this map because no matter where you are, like on the map, your wall will get value to some extent, like because your team split off. That's why that's why the comp kind of didn't work here. So first of all, even you've gone over Brawl a lot. You all know your kind of jobs. I'm not too worried about on this map because it was more of a kind of a comp diff. So that's literally all I wanted to say on this map.
Okay.
The only thing, we'll VODreview this map again when you're running more of a viable comp. But this comp, even if you're running a dive, it would be an actual comp. But this isn't one we're going to be VODreviewing. This is never a comp that you'll run, or will want to run, because there's nothing that works well together. So I just wanted to point that out just there before we went on. All right, so this is the big one. Right, so these are the 2 masks I kind of asked you to kind of have a look at. So first of all, you're VODreviewing your own comp. Before you start VODreviewing yourselves, you should always ask on your comp, what is your role? What is my job going into the next fight? That should always be like when you're VODreviewing yourself, before you start the VODreview, what am I looking out for? Because it's easier when you're in the game, shit goes to hell, like that's always going to happen. It's much easier for people to VODreview and look back and kind of criticize and all. It's always going to be easier to do. So, but it'll always, when you're doing it yourself, you'll take it on better. So when you start a VODreview, first thing is you're asking, right, our team comp, what is my role in this team comp? Okay, what's my job? Like as far as your own team comp should be. And then what is my job when we play against this team comp? So for instance, from say the Lucio's point of view, say you're VODreviewing yourself, you're like, right, before this game, what am I going to be doing? Well, I control the tempo of the game. Okay, I control the speed in which we play at. Okay, that's my job. Okay, I also can peel. Peeling is my job. Lucio is one of the best peelers in the game, especially when you have high ground especially against a dive comp or something like that. Okay, like it's not more upsetting when you jump up as a Winston, Lucio just goes fuck you and boops you off, or you fly up as Diva and she goes nope, and boops you off or whatever. So you have this peeling ability. Say May for instance, just as I'm talking on a macro level. I have wall. I can split the team. Okay. I have a decent damage output. I can freeze players, all this sort of stuff. Cree, I watch out for flankers. I can control the air, where I can pressure fires, whatever. Look for flash and Rhines, so on. Against their team comps, which we'll talk about in a second, because that's not what they run out on. So that should be what you're thinking of. Like, what should I be doing in this match? Not what. What should my job be? So then you start to play, and you're going through your VODreview. They run a completely different comp. God, I hate this game mode. Fucking just readying up stuff drives me through the wall when playing Scrim. Right, so now you know what team comp they're running. Okay, so what is your job against this team comp, against these heroes? Okay, they've got Zen, okay, who's pretty stationary. They've got Ball, who's going to be literally all over the map. He's going to look to disrupt your team. He's going to look for slams to set up the Pharah, and to set up the Tracer. Diva is going to be looking to dive at the Ball. She'll be keeping an eye on the Zen to peel for it as well. Pharah is just up in the air looking to pump in damage into chokes. That's kind of the idea of what their comp is. Their comp will play safe until they need to engage, and then when they engage, that's when all hell breaks loose. Because you have Ball swinging in and slamming or rolling through. You have a Tracer coming up your arse, Fire spamming from the top, Zen's discording someone. They're coming from all angles. Okay, so that's the general idea of their comp. All right. The idea of your comp is you're this one unit. Okay, you're moving as a unit. You're looking to split someone off at May, or you're looking to run over their main tank. It's kind of hard to do when they're not all facing in front of you. So how does your job now change that they're not running Brawl? Okay, so say for instance, Mike and I said lose first time. What is your job against their team comp, for instance?
Well, I can try to deny Hammond the disruption and speed onto maybe the Zen when we
Yeah.
find him, scouting for the Zen as well.
Mm-hmm. You control the tempo of the game. You control how your
Mhm.
team plays. So you should always be common your speed when you're on. Like say,
Mhm.
right, we speed in whatever time you have it on. That should be always something you're looking to do because literally it is you.
Mhm.
Like G can call he wants to go to whoever this who we're pushing, but G can't control
Mhm.
how fast the team gets there.
Yeah.
But you control the speed in which he play at, and there's no point in um doing that if you're not common it. Because
Mhm.
G can't tell when you have it off cooldown. He could go, right, we go on him now, but sure, you might be 2 seconds off your speed.
Mhm.
Okay, so Suji, that's kind of your job. There's also Zen, like I said, a really good peel hero. You've got the ball, you can boop the ball 100%. You've got the diva who's going to fly up, boop the diva back. You've also got the tracer who you can nullify in the backline. Like
Mhm.
all you have to do, if the tracer come up behind, you can challenge the tracer because no tracer, especially when you're with the team or reasonably like when you're around the team, tracer is going like she's got no hard healing. So the minute you kind of hit her headshot or boop her away, she's not going to want to hard engage in the fight. She's going to be forced to use her recall, and then she really can't hard engage. Okay, so you kind of get an idea against these heroes what
Mhm.
your general job is. Now, jobs that'll always change depending on what you're running and what they're running. But for now, you're controlling the tempo of the game. You're keeping an eye on Meep. You're like keeping on your Ryan, controlling how he gets in and out, so on and so on. Hayes, what is your job? When you're VOD review and you go to yourself, right, against this team comp, what should I be thinking? What is my job? Like, what should I be doing on a macro level? You don't have to go into big detail.
I mean, I mostly just want to watch out that if the ball engages, I eat the damage that's coming in. For example, from the tracer, from the Pharaoh as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can also even disrupt the ball a little bit by flying like into him or something. Even though I gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
And I probably like also wanna keep an eye on Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
So that because he might be one of the priority targets that they're gonna go on if they engage. Because as
Yeah.
soon as the BEP, that's the fight's over anyway. So I might have an extra eye on Johnny instead of, for example, my main tank.
Yeah, that's a really good point there. That's the one I was kind of hoping you'd say. So against their comp, your main tank is under pressure, but not huge pressure. Okay, with the fire spam, Meep is always going to be under pressure, like against the tracer, stuff like this. So again, you want to keep the tracer in check, kind of. Like just keep tickling him, keep matrix him if you need to, if you hard engage. Just keep pressuring with damage. This tracer has no hard healing. She can't stay in the fight that long. She's only a squishy. She'll lose 50 HP. Like she has to back up then. Back to get healing. She might recall stuff like that. So you can keep the tracer a reasonable check in this comp. Also the fire spams. Fire spam is always the best when it's fired into chokes because everybody's pushing out a choke. They don't get clean shots in the Farah. Everybody's always grouped up, stuff like that. So Farah spam into chokes is always nice to that's kind of the. And Farah spam, it's hard to always keep the Farah always in check because it's a fucking shitload of spam. You just don't have enough matrix to do it. Okay, so it's then up to then the hit scan to follow up with the pressure, even the BAP to follow up with that bit of pressure.
Yeah, I think.
Also, yeah, go ahead. What are you saying, something, G?
No.
Oh, sorry, I just seen the up pop up. I didn't know if I interrupted. That's all. Also, if the fire gets low, you could try finish her off within reason, stuff like that. Another big one is ball. So you said disrupt the ball, eat the ball. Their engagement is solely, again, especially when a ball is in play. The team's engagement, whole job is to follow in when the ball slams. That's such a setup, that whole thing. So what your idea? So reasonably on a DV, when the ball hits a slam, you want to be matrixing the kind of the vulnerable heroes on your team. So like the BAP, the Kree, stuff like that. Okay, don't worry about if the ball slams, putting the damage into him. It's against these comps, Diva wants to worry about the follow up damage that's going to be done because he has now set everybody up into the air. They're set up for a shitload of damage to come in. Okay, so that's kind of like and especially against your team comp because you can imagine um, when you're running this comp, for instance, you're this ball here. Okay, so you're just this ball is moving together in this direction, say, in any direction like this. Okay, this is the ball is moving in that pattern and stays in that pattern. All right, or like stays following the line wherever your line's going. All right, their ball is slamming, say, for here, for instance. So now your movement has completely stopped and everybody you're not moving forward, you're all up into the air at this. So that's the best time that they will ever attack. That's when you're at your most vulnerable as a team. So when a ball is in play, you're always at your most vulnerable on yellow because you're not moving forward. you're up in the air, you're stationary. So that's when comps like this, heroes like this will engage you. Okay, so you never want to. That's as a diva player. That's when you want to kind of. That's when matrix is important. That's when your resources are important. But this is also when they're going to try to get resources out of you. So remember, never use your resources too early because, like I said, this is when you're at your most vulnerable. All right. So, Johnny, you're next. When you look at this, what is your job? Your VOD
Survive
review.
and heal.
Survive. Heal. Yeah, you're looking at your team comp. You're looking at their team comp. You're VOD reviewing yourself. It's like, what am I doing on BAP here? You're healing teams. Yeah, healing players. You're trying to survive as well. What else could you be doing? You're going to be
Doing
you're going
whatever
to
I could
be
see.
you could be keeping an eye on the tracer, keep the tracer in check like the diva. You do a shitload of damage. Just a quick little dink on the tracer is going to she's going to be questioning what she's doing. You can every now and again put a little shot towards the Farah. Constantly common where the Zen is, stuff like that. The big thing with BAP is resource management. Okay, so you kind of want to know how, like, kind of know. Okay, when are we? Like I said, going to be at most vulnerable. When am I going to be wanting to be using my IMO? So, like we said, you're at your most vulnerable when they knock you up in the air. Okay, so IMO might want to be used then if they have ults. My IMO is going to be like pulse. You know, they have pulse. You're going to be now a bit more lenient on how you use your. You're going to be a bit more kind of restricted on how you use your IMO because they have pulse. You're going to want to save it for IMO. If they
I
have
raised
barrage,
my hand, teacher.
yes,
I know it's only like one little quick thingy, but there's this cool thing that I saw the other day from one of the fresh nuts and new or something like that. If they have Sombra for EMP, there's this fucking sick thing that I see where you with BAP you can throw your lamp up in the air and it doesn't
yeah,
get EMP'd. And it's
yeah,
fucking
absolutely.
sick. I
That's
just
really
thought of
cool.
that quickly.
That's nice.
You can
Actually, I didn't
throw
know.
it straight on the ground as well, as long as it's in its flying motion. It won't
Yeah,
get
but
you.
isn't it like it's just more consistent if you do it in the air, isn't it?
So it has to be.
Because
It's like flying motion, like.
Yeah,
yeah,
if
yeah,
it doesn't get up, it doesn't get hacked.
yeah, but if you throw it in the air, it's way less likely to happen, isn't it? Rather than throwing it at the floor.
Floor kind
The
of has to
timing's
be.
just
Yeah,
the
timing's a lot
timing's
longer.
just a lot easier on you if you do it in the air.
Even if there was a wall in front of you, you could throw it at the wall and walk into it more
Yeah.
than anything. Yeah, there's like. Yeah, I never even thought. I never knew that was a thing. I just presumed.
I fucking saw it from Super of all people.
Ah, that's really cool.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah. So resource management is a huge thing with that. It's a really big thing. Raptor's not here, but in general, Kree's job, keeping an eye on the flankers, pressuring the Farah. Kree always wants to be pressuring the Farah as much as possible. Just keep tipping away, keep pressuring the Mercy. If he can get the Tracer, he can get the Tracer. That's all right. But you've got you've got Diva in there, you've got Lucia, you've got plenty of people who can pressure a Tracer coming from behind. But the Farah is like the big damage dealer in their team. That's the big problem. They also have May, so May make him one shot a Tracer. So there's so much pressure there for the Tracer. Kree, if he hits the flashbang on her, which he should be saving it for, even for ball or dive heroes who are coming in just to stop the dive or to stop the slam. But Farah's generally the Kree wants to kind of put as much pressure on the Farah. He just she wants to get as little value because that's their main damage source. And on Ryan, then I would against. I'll ask you what would your job be, G, when you're looking at this photo review? What is your job on
Switching
Ryan?
Ryan.
So Ryan against this comp is a fucking bitch. That's just the only way to put it. This comp is a fucking cunt for Ryan.
The only thing I can see myself doing as Ryan against this comp is helping my team close distance and helping my Kree get free shots on the Farah, basically. I can't really see much else I can actually do against this comp.
Yeah, you could try stop spam. You could try to nullify ball slam by shielding if you can. You can try watch out. Another thing is when you're pushing towards Zen, watch for, and the same with you. I had to say this earlier as well. Is if you can watch for Zen's charged right clicks. Just keep an eye out for them. You're you're going to be concentrating so much else. But on Ryan, he's kind of like you're pushing the high ground. He's going to be in front of you a lot of time. He's never going to be behind you. So just keep an eye out for the charged right clicks because they're the ones that's another big damage source. But against their comp, it's very hard for Ryan to do much. It's a fucking cunt to play against. If Tracer's playing aggressive from your team, just swing your hammer around. If you clip her, she's gone. She's like, there's not much she's going to do. She's going to back off. Yeah, if you're in these rooms, ball comes in for a slam, you can look for a pin against the wall, stuff like that. That's where he's vulnerable. If you can block it and pin, you can try it, but it sucks playing Ryan against this comp. So I'll just play it off and we'll have a look now. So now you've kind of talked through your macro of your jobs. And we're only ever going to be talking macro now at the minute. Not in detail. There'll be a lot of other deals, but that's all micro stuff. On a macro level, we've just kind of had a chat on your own individual jobs. Now look at how you play. Okay, now that you've kind of we talked about your jobs, now look at how you play. All right. All right, so after that, first of all, the big problem was Cree was playing on here. So if you are watching this Raptor, if you're Cree against a Pharah, you're trying to obviously spam the Pharah over. But when you're on your own, like you are here, it's going to be very hard for you to get value on Pharah, on anyone. Because Pharah could spam a rocket at you. Once she clips you, you can't really re-peek again because she could be spamming you out of it, but also you're too low to peek her. But now you're so out of position that your BAP has to ignore his team to come heal you. Lucio could have to come peel for you. You're also separated so that they can dive you. Diva's not near you to peel for you or anything like that. So you kind of want to play with your team because that's when you're going to be most protected from Pharah spams because Diva will be eating it. There's a range shield there, so on and so on. So make sure on Kree you play with your team. So can anyone else tell me, did you do, after what we talked about, have you done your job? So I'll go through that play again. All right. So when you're looking at, tell me, we'll go on a bit slower. Have you done your job? All right. So can you say, have you done your job here? As in, like, individually, have you done your job? Or have you done half your job or some of your job? Or
No.
No.
to be honest, the one person who actually done their job to a high level was G.
Oh, thanks. I'm not even in here.
From what he, oh my god, sorry.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay, I'm gonna say G because I'm gonna end up keep saying that anyway.
Mhm.
Sorry. So as you see, there's not much Ryan can do but block the ball, slam within reason, is pushing forward to take space, so on and so on. Because you're here, definitely didn't do your job. Matster's not doing your job. You're separated from your team. Micah, not doing your job. You're out in the open, either picking. I'm not too sure what you're going for. Cree didn't do his job. Maybe not much to be able to see from your job yet because you were only pushing up the stairs, but you're taking a shitload of spam. Okay. So instantly, as you can see here, just from what you're doing, you push up the stairs as a team. Already, we're not doing our job. Okay. Remember, you're Diva. You can't push up on your own. All right, because the rest of your team are getting spammed out over here. Remember, on rotation, try weakest. And look, this isn't spam that you need to be eating, but you still want to be with your team because the Ryan can eat that kind of spam. But also there's tracers flanking, stuff like that. All right, we push up. Okay. So this is, and in a general speaking, this is when you will be at your weakest coming to Pharah, when you come out with chokes like this. Pharah's spamming down from above. All right. You do not have a good line of sight on her. All right. So what you're going to be doing here, say for instance, okay, so Mikey, you're going to be speeding him out with this choke.
Mhm.
You want to get him out into the open as quick as possible. You don't want to be long. You don't want to be in this choke long. The sooner you get on the open, the better for you. The longer you're in here, the longer Farah can just spam and just shit damage down this fucking throat here. Tracer can come in behind. Like you can't. You're never going to challenge you in here, so you'll never get a team fight in here. So you want to get out here as soon as possible, or out of a choke in general. If you're VODreview any match, you don't want to be in a little choke in a little room like this, trying to come out onto high ground or out onto point. So you're controlling the pace here. Is you need to be there to eat all this damage when you push out. Okay. You want to be ready for the boops, ready for the kind of the cushion coming and eating this spam because a lot of it comes in here. Ryan's going to want to be shielding damage coming from the front, and then Kree's going to want to take some shots of fire and try to get down the fire, put pressure on the fire as quick as possible here. Okay, you're coming up, you're taking high ground. with the BAP, with the Cree, you can put a bit of pressure on the Farah Mercy here. She's very open and very vulnerable for shots here. She's not playing safe at all. And Farah's, if they are playing safe, you could try rotate against them. But at the minute, she's playing very aggressive, very out in the open. So it's kind of like a high risk, high reward. She can get high value, but she's also open for you to pick her off. So when you're all grouped up and Diva's Matrix, Rhina's Shield, it's very hard for her to get as much value as she would now, or Farah now can. Okay, so just as a start, you're now looking at your own individual play. No one really did their job. Okay, maybe you haven't got a chance to do your job yet because you've kind of all just run out. But in general, you haven't really done what you kind of, like, you're on a macro level, what you could be doing. Okay. Okay, so Zen is planted. Where's the Zen?
It was on left side, inside.
Oh, he's in here. Yeah, Zen is in here. So right now you're trying to rotate to the Zen, which is grand. Zen stationary. That's who you can run on to, 100%. If you're doing this again, it can't be this. Okay, it can't be little groups running towards the Zen. Okay, it has to be one group going whatever way the pattern is going or whatever way it is going at the Zen. Okay, because the more you're split, the more vulnerable you are against these kind of dive kind of comps. These dive comps, these kind of comps are comps that will engage in you all at the one time. So you're better off all being together rather than split. So if your squishies are split, they're more vulnerable to that dive. Whereas so together, you have Matrix in room, you have the BAP fucking IMO, which you'll all be in. You'll have Ryan Shield to play around. You'll have May Wall and stuff to play around. There's a lot more to play around when you're together. So against these comps, they're trying to. It's literally like fucking lions trying to feed into a fucking herd of buffalo. They'll wait for the weak links to fall out from the pack, and they'll go for that fucking cunt. All right. But when they're a pack, when they're a group, it's harder for them to get at. So that's literally what they're trying to do. They're literally taking position and they're getting ready to dive. And Krieg got cut out. Scan cut out. There's nothing from a Bass point of view, there's nothing a BAP can do there. He's been left behind. Maybe you could play more quickly with Ryan. You're trying to fall back to heal the Kree, but look, fuck the Kree. Like you said, you want to stay alive. So stay alive. Play with your Ryan, play with your Diva. It's kind of hard when kind of Diva's flying off ahead of you, but that's kind of what you want to do. Mike, it's up to you also to make sure that you're not leaving BAP behind as well. There's a lot going on. You're also controlling how fast you get in. But if Meat gets caught behind because he's being pressured by someone, you need to be also there as well to kind of help him out. All right. So first fight, first engagement, we haven't done our job to an individual from a macro level. We got the Zen. Your plan was to get the Zen. You got the Zen, but sure, it's too late at that stage. All right. So now you kind of switch things up straight away. And look, I like this. Okay. It's hugely important on the likes of these control maps that you don't wait too long to switch comps, because when you switch comps, you want enough time to build up bullets. Okay, so just from a team point of view, when you're switching comps, we switched up straight away. So by the time you win point, because they'll have ults before you, it could be 60%. But at least then you'll have all your ults and then you can start your ult cycle. But if you keep running a comp that's losing till 50%, then you switch a comp. By the time you get ults up, you're going to be pushing into last fight territory. If you aren't winning fights. So look, it's nice. It is a good thing that you switched up early. Right. A little bit further. Okay. So now change the comp. Comps now change. Your VOD review and yourself. Micah, what's your job?
I still decide
Now,
the pace of the game.
now that ye have changed your comp, they haven't changed their comp, and like I said, I had said this before, which information is massive. Information that should always dictate how you play. It should, like, if their team comp change, something changes with their team comp, it now could dictate how someone plays. So you've got information, and now this should impact how you play. This should impact into your decision making. So now that now their team hasn't played, but your team comp has switched. Michael, what's your job?
Well, I still want to call speeds in it, the engages, and look for the Zen and get onto the Zen as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Scouting maybe. but we also have the Sombra for that.
Yeah, scouting. Everybody should be scouting. Everybody should
Yeah.
be looking, relaying information back. That scouting is 100%. So now that you're not running this kind of vulnerable backline to an extent, you don't have to worry about peel anymore. You get this more kind of a, you can you get more of a chance out of frag if you want. Also you can pressure the tracer if she comes to your backline more. Still looking for the same things with boops and stuff like that. Now remember, your team comp has changed, so when you're VOD reviewing yourself, your job kind of will now have changed to a certain extent. So now, Hayes, you're the same. Your job will exchange. So, how does your job now change? How could it change?
I mean, as you said, because we don't have like that vulnerable of a backline anymore, it's more important for me to kind of like peel from a monkey a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would at least say.
Yeah.
Because Johnny can fade away if he's like getting harder. So I still have to watch out for him, of course, but not that much anymore than on a slam than it used to be because he can fade out of the slam. But otherwise, I still want to like watch out for Tracer. I still want to matrix us out of chokes if we want to, for example, push high ground or something.
Yeah.
And especially follow up on the hacks now as well, so I can also play a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, you get the license to play more aggressive. Like you said, Meep isn't vulnerable until he isn't that vulnerable, and he's still kind of vulnerable to a reason. But as long as he has fade, he's not vulnerable. But if he doesn't have fade, he's then very vulnerable. And that's always a call that will be made: is Myra has no fade, because instantly teams will, especially in the comp you're running, will switch and fucking beeline for a Myra if she doesn't have fade, because then you have no heals. So that is then, if Meep has no fade, if you've no fade, Meep, let it be known that you've no fade to an extent. Obviously, it's kind of hard when there's so much shit being called during a fight and you use fade to scream it out. But at least Hayes then knows that you don't have fade, so you can't play super aggro. You need to play that bit safe, so on, so on. If and in child speak, also like you said with Sombra, you can, if Sombra's going for hack and is playing with you can always matrix the Sombra so she doesn't get interrupted, stuff like that. But again, same kind of idea with what they're running. You're kind of still, like you said, watch for boss slam, so on, so on. With tracers, and this is one thing that kind of, you're like Master's playing tracer now, Raptor played tracer before. So if either one of them sees this, it's super important. One thing is important. One thing I've been saying is everybody's play style will change depending on what you're running and what other teams are running. Okay, so when you're playing, and this is like hugely important, especially with like off tank players and main tank and fucking like trace or DPS players, their play style will always be different depending on what comps you're running and what they're running. Mainly, like in Tracer, for instance, if you look at the Overwatch League, Dallas put Sparkle on Tracer. Now Sparkle wasn't a Tracer player. He was a Doom fucking a Doom Genji player, and now he's one of the best Tracers. He's in one of the top five, arguably one of the top three Tracers in the league. And it's not down to mechanical skill. It's down to he knows how he's smart and how he plays the likes of Tracer. So he knows that if he's playing against kind of like a double shield comp, he knows with like this was what went on in Volskaya, and I'm only saying it now when it popped into my head. On Volskaya, we played our tracer like we were playing comp. We were kind of going into the backline the whole time, pressuring the backline. But because they're running double shield, they're running Torb, they're running Pocket Dash, we can no longer do that on Tracer. So this information that we got that they're running this comp should now change how we play Tracer or Sombra or Diva or whoever we're running. But this should, for that instance, should change how we play Tracer. Okay? Because now you're not playing to build up ult. Now you're staging for your dives when you're running double bubble. That's your focus. You're scouting and you're staging for dives. Now what you're doing is you're running the team comp, you're running a brawl. So you're running a rush. You're rushing into the one hero. Okay, so now your job is tracer. You have a bit more free room to kind of get value. So on a tracer, you can go for the Zen with your team. You can challenge and keep their tracer in check. You'll always see this. A lot of tracers will challenge each other. And because they're tracer, if there's a Zen with pocket in her, it's not harder to do. But a lot of tracers on teams, their job will be to keep the other tracer in check, play that bit more defensive, and play that bit more kind of not that aggro of a tracer. But as a team against what you're running, that play style will change. So you could decide now I'm going to play with my team, look for the tracer and dive what your team's running. Or you can kind of play that bit more of a flanky tracer and get set up on flanks on where you're going, stuff like that. So the same with Meep. How does your job now that you've changed to Myra, against what they're running and what you're running? What's your job as your VOD viewing yourself? What's going through your head now before the fights engage? You're saying in a VOD review, what should my job be? What should I be doing here?
Heal and survive. I don't know. With the immos, because you're saying they're most vulnerable for the last comp will be during the slam, I assume it's going to be fairly similar again if we get slammed. So maybe saving orb for slam, but mainly just trying to survive without using my cooldowns, or then getting forced to use a cooldown.
Yeah, cooldown, and this is a big thing with all heroes, but it's a big thing with flex supports is cooldown management. Massive at all heroes, but it's more noticeable in the likes of flex supports and stuff like that. So my orb management, you're not just going to spam your orbs out the whole time. You want to save it for the likes of slam, for the likes of when you hard engage on people, stuff like that. If the fight gets brawly, any kind of stuff like that, you want to kind of save it for that. You'll also want to have your fade, keep your fade on cooldown. Don't use it until you need to use it. Okay, for the likes of slam when you be vulnerable, to avoid the slam itself, for barrage, for pulse if you get pulse, stuff like this kind of thing. Super important. Your job also when you're running this comp, Moira is a really good counter to Tracer within reason. Because you don't have to aim at this little fucker coming up behind you. You just have to kind of spam a sucky beam in her direction. You can keep a Tracer in check within reason. So if you're in the middle of a fight and there's a Tracer up your hole, you can take that second to put damage into her before your diva peels or whatever. You can keep a Tracer within check within reason, because especially what they're running, comps like this have very little heal. Very little heal. So these heroes, the likes of Tracer Ball, are relying more on, say, Zen Heal or Zen Orb, which can't be on both of them, and health packs. So where the Tracer engages or is flanking from behind and is playing that bit more kind of a solo Tracer, and you kind of notice it, tickling her and all this sort of stuff, kind of keeping her in check is a thing Moira can do when you're rotating and stuff like that. Because it means she can't hard engage you when she loses health. A good Tracer will never hard engage without recall, because they're too squishy and there's too much of a chance that when they get low, they blink and get shot again. So if you force out recall just by tickling her, like that's always a good thing. So always keep an eye out for Tracers on flanks. Just put them a small bit of pressure. Don't focus them like hard focus them like you're just hard beaming. You're killing. You want to kill this fucking thing. Just pressure her, like force her out, force her to question what she's doing. Put a low HP in it. She kind of has to go look for heals more than anything. If you're running the Somber after, you're kind of thinking, right, what's my job? Well, you've got a lot of people to hack here, okay? But your two main hacks are onto her and this person here, okay? Ball comes in and you hack the ball, he's an easy kill. Diva comes in, you hack the Diva, easy kill, okay? So that's what they're running. Look to get in your rotating. Look for ball when he comes swinging in for an owl hack, or Diva comes in flying. Go for an owl hack, or if you are on that bit of a flank, hack the tanks, and if they are near your team, you can rush into them. Zen, when you're running the Sombra, Zen doesn't always have to be the prioritized fucking doesn't have to be always the dive. Like when you're running a Sombra, any hero could be the hero you go for, because all Sombra has to do is hack them, and they're so easy killed because they have zero healing and they don't have any sustain. They're all about engaging. So when you rotate on Hagron, you see a tank out of position, you could, and Sombra goes to hack them, you can set up for this sort of thing. So you just kind of look at, especially when you come out on Sombra, and you know what they're running. You kind of want to think to yourself, right? I'm scouting. Who am I hacking? Stuff like that. What health packs I'm hacking? Stuff. This kind of thing.
Question.
Okay. Yeah.
As I usually call like dives in general, should it?
Yeah.
I feel in this situation here, it should be Raptor. It should be the deciding. It should be deciding like, because he's gonna see like the opportunity to hack someone. Like he's gonna have more of an idea of when to do the engages than me, because of like, you know, he's got like much more better position on the whole point and where everyone is. So shouldn't he be the one like calling engages here, or at least saying, oh, I can hack this person here, and then we go in on that rather than me calling it?
Absolutely, 100%. If he's comfortable on calling, like it's all right to say, like a Sombra should like be constantly common. She's saying who they're going to hack, but not every Sombra does. Okay, so it's super important for him to be constantly common, and whether you're calling, whether he's saying, right, I can hack this person, and then you call that you want to dive, like you said, or you want to allow him to call, just take over the kind of like the, your rush comms, like who you're diving, all that sort of stuff. That's that's what you need to decide. What works best for you. Does it work best that he takes over that role, or does it work best that he's just calling who he's going to hack, and then you call the dive? because he can say, right, I can hack ball, and then you go, right, we're diving ball, but you mightn't be in position.
Yeah, I think
That kind
if
of thing.
he is, I think it's easier. In my opinion, I think it's easier for him to just call the engages because it's so like situational. So like
Yeah.
we're gonna have to just basically be ready for him to say, okay, I'm hacking this person now, and then we go in. Because like especially with how fast Ball and Diva move about, like
Yeah.
it needs to be very like it's quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, so if that's the way you want to go, that's what you need as a team. You decide that, and then for scrims, that's what you. And if you're running this comp, you kind of need to focus on that for a while because it'll take a while before that kind of gets normal for you. It
Yeah.
won't just happen in a scrim. There'll be mistakes. It might look shit at the start. So, for instance, it could start off at the minute you could be here, okay, and now you have this new person coming in, going to call. It's going to go downhill at the start. It's never going to work before it kind of varies out and then starts getting better. Okay, so never expect it to start here and just go straight and just immediately your comp just works better instantly. Very rare that would happen. If it does, well and good. But more than likely, this is what's going to happen once you make this change. But don't let this take you off. Don't let this force you to switch, force you to never run this comp again, or never force you to allow the somber comp again. Okay, because this is a whole new different aspect to your gameplay now. So it's never going to start off well. It'll start off with a few bumps, but then you'll notice it kind of getting better. You're getting used to it, and now it's working much better for you because you're all used to it, and now you're all making clean dives. So always keep that in mind as well. Also, Raptor, when you're playing Sombra and you're playing comps with Tracer on your team, or they have Tracer and Ball, the more health packs you have hacked, the shitter their comps become because Ball can now no longer get to health packs. Tracer can no longer use health packs. So now their whole way of surviving has gone out the fucking window. So even if you want to kind of go ahead of the team at the start, hack kind of important health packs, just kind of like this one here, maybe so Ball can't roll back to it.
Yeah, I think we only really need like that big health back and then the one underneath point really.
But even for what you're running, okay, so what you're running, the thing is, and this is the big thing now I want you to kind of start doing, okay? So when you're running about the comp, you're running about what your jobs are and how it benefits you, which is what health packs can you use. But also, you have to now factor in the other team. What's shit about the other team? Can you tell me?
No shield.
No shield. But what's the big thing they do not have?
No. What's it called? Consistent damage at range.
They don't have a
No.
lot of heals
not
because
like
they're
There it
Zen
is.
Mercy.
So who on their team is going to suffer the most by just not getting healed from their teammates?
Ball.
Yeah.
If the health packs are hacked, theirs as well.
Yeah. So if they're running this comp or a team runs this comp, okay, and they're running these two support heroes, the likes of these heroes get very little hacked. So what they get very little healing. So what they're depending on is these quick dives that they can kill you quickly. They're going in for these big dives and they're backing off and they're getting healed. And what they're getting their heals from is this health pack here, this health pack here. All these health packs is what they're relying on. So by you running a Sombra and that Sombra going ahead and getting these health packs, their healing is now completely reduced. Their whole thought process, Ball will roll to here, and it's like, fuck, I can't get this health pack. Will fuck off to somewhere else, can't get that health pack. He's out of fight for a bit. Tracer as well. Tracer now has to play even safer because she can't just fuck off to her health pack really quickly. She has to look for Zen, or she could have to go way out to get a health pack. So running Sombra not only benefits ye by getting health packs, but it also prevents fucking these cunts from getting healed. They now can't play super aggressive because if Tracer gets tickled, Tracer gets a small bit of damage on, she uses recall, whatever, or she backs off. She has to either go look for the Zen to get heal onto her, or she has to go fucking ages away to get a health pack. Okay, so not only now, Raptor, are you thinking, okay, that's how Sombra benefiting our team, but against their team, how does she work against their team? And something as simple as hacking health packs is a cunt for them. It really nerfs them because they can't use this is their healing gone out the window. Their whole Ball can't work for that healing now. There's loads of health packs, especially when you win the fight. Then you get more time to go around and hack these health packs that they can get to. Like on comps like this, it's going to be rare unless they take you out there that you're going to be working around the health pack. Because unless the fight's out here, this health pack is a lot harder for you to get to because your fights will either be in here, on point, or up here. So that's kind of like where it is. So unless you back off for someone wants this help pack like Tracer, great. Tracer and Sombra can work the help pack. So it's very hard for your whole team to play around the help pack because they won't be fighting you out here. So not only is Sombra good for keeping you help pack, but it's also cunt for teammates that they can't use help pack, for the enemy team that can't use help packs. So you also want to think about hacking. It's like how do I really fuck this team up? What's going to be really annoying for this team? What help packs is most common for them to use that they now no longer can use? So stuff like that, and you'll see a lot of teams doing this now, especially on one on Gibraltar, for instance, and we did it. We attempted it on Gibraltar? Fucking, oh, I don't know when it was, but we ran this. I wanted to run this Trace or Sombra because a lot of teams do this. Say, for instance, Dallas did this, and this is where I got the comp from. And it's all right to pick comps off of. I'll just say, just get out there now. You'll see overseas playing it. You'll see them playing comps, and you'll want to run it. But you also have to know how to run it. You know why they're running it. You need to really kind of break their comp up to the very start, and then work back and why they're running this comp and how could this be meta. So what they were doing is Tracer's going to be contesting the car when they're running this double bubble. They run double bubble with Tracer Sombra. So what Sombra did was she hacked the help packs that Tracer can now use, so that if Tracer is on the card, she blinks to get a help pack and get back to the card, stuff like that. So now that they run the Tracer, Tracer just worked off the help packs. Tracer never had to worry about getting healed. She just worked off the help packs, stuff like this, and then the other team, Sombra dove with the Winston. Tracer kept dove as well when she could, but also kept the cart in check. So that's kind of like ideas on when Tracer and Sombra work together. The same as here. Tracer is in your team comp, so maybe hack the help packs so that Tracer can get to them quickly. So Tracer doesn't always have to stick with you. She could be on a little flank waiting for you to dive the Zen so that she comes up behind the Zen, or could be playing an F off angle so if you hack ball here, Tracer's on a different angle on ball, stuff like that, but can get back to the help pack if you need to. So there's on Sombra comes into play, there's a lot you can do with it. So just look at it in the VOD review when you're VOD reviewing yourself. Just think about what your job is with your team comp, with their team comp, all that sort of stuff. Now that you're running Winston, what's your job?
Pretty much the same. Like just making sure that I link up with Raptor, Tracer, and Diva for my dives.
Mhm.
Make sure everyone's ready, and then we go on the same target, preferably the Zen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Making sure I don't take too much damage before that hand.
Yeah. Stuff like that, yeah. Against their team comp's the same. You've got Bubble now to split your team off from heals, all this sort of stuff. So yeah, that's in general when you're VOD reviewing yourself. Like we said, I'm going to keep asking you, what's your job? So I'll play this now, and to yourself, and I'll just ask you at the end of the fight, do you think you did your job? All right, so team fight's over. Did you do your job? Or roughly do your job, or do something that was right?
They got their dive in before us. Really took
Mhm.
too much time.
Yeah. Sombra, some reason, was out over here. Completely out of the way. Tracer was here challenging the other Tracer. It's grand, but you are so far away from your team, taking a fight, like really far away from your team, taking your fight. The help pack, if you get the hack in the help pack, which you did, that's grand. You can take the fight player on the help pack. But Sombra then needs to be with your team, but some are in position to hack. Sombra's out here, and if she is out here and out in this position, and you see her out here, never push into a vulnerable position like you did, because they weren't anywhere near for you to dive. So now you got caught rotating and got caught with a slam and stuff. Play safe. Play safe until they're ready to dive. You're not a spam comp. You're not going to want to take spam because you don't want Myers healing to all be used up. So kind of play super safe, even in here, until they're ready to dive. For Sombra has scout, because Sombra's invis, so she can scout and play safe within reason. Yeah, she kind of pushed up here, realized Sombra, whoever, and took too much damage before your dive. Realized Sombra and stuff wasn't going to be able to dive or wasn't ready. So then he decided to back up and get caught. And then someone got slammed. Winston dove to here. And then Hayes, you challenged the ball. So it was all a real bit of a fucking mess, like. Before we go on, and did their tracer? I'm just curious if their tracer camped the health pack. Okay, so their tracer must have camped the health pack here. So, Matster, if you are playing tracer again and you do end up seeing the VOD or whatever, you took a tracer fight against another tracer, which is grand, but it was off out here. The health pack wasn't hacked. So you're immediately at a disadvantage because the tracer probably had Zen Orb on her. Their team is playing a bit more around here, stuff like that. And you were completely away from your team. And you came from this direction. So when you recalled, you're ending up over here somewhere. Your team was nowhere near you. Okay, so taking tracer 1v1 is grand if you're kind of playing that bit more defensive tracer. Otherwise, you play with your team, you're looking for frags. If you're playing to look for the tracer 1v1 or keeping their tracer in check, all well and good, but do it within reason, not all the way out, not completely out of the way of your team. Right, so I'll play that on. Now, between all these fights, your fight planning, obviously, and your calling what else they have, so on, so on. And all that information should impact your gameplay. I'm just going to say that quickly because I'm just more going through when you're VOD reviewing stuff like that. Now, you haven't had ult set, so we can't actually talk about that. But I'll just say that that's why we're just not talking about ults. Remember, their ults will all play an impact, but we're just more focusing on your individual VOD reviewing at the minute, just so you can what you should be doing in them. Just as a note, times like this, going for the Zen is grand, but when you're going for these big flanks, you're never going to get what you're never going to get in distance of Zen or even get close to Zen to dive before they engage you. Okay, so on the Sombra, perfect time to hack him when ball slammed there. Perfect time, and then ball becomes your focus, stuff like that. So just keep an eye out for that. Going for the ball, going for the Zen, all well and good, within reason. Okay, so you were rotating through here reasonably at a normal pace. Zen has already fucked off over here. So you're no better off, but by the time you ended up getting closer to Zen with his ring rosy thing, or if you do dive, they would have already engaged you. Okay, so Zen's a good dive, but within reason. So when you have a Sombra in play, pretty much all our heroes become diveable. So that'll always play a factor into it. Right. Did we do our job? I'm going to go through it again, but in kind of a... Oh. All right, did we do our job? When you look back at this, you're VOD reviewing yourself, you're thinking to yourself, right, that fight's over. Did I do my job?
No.
Yeah, no, we did. Yeah, we didn't do our job. That's all right. Tracy used pulse. She blinked in. It's all right. It's gonna be normal. You can't. Tracer fucked off. Okay. Monkey waste bubble. Maybe you use your orb, and now you're about to fade away from your orb, which is grand. Micah, your team's gone off, but you're kind of still in the middle of it all. So remember, we speed from here to here. Take this out if you need to. We speed through here and up the stairs. Don't get caught kind of not knowing what to do. If you're going this way, just go this way. Don't turn around. I know you want to peel for the tracer a bit, but there's no one in your team being dived. Monkey turns around just to take the tracer away. Bubble. If we know they have ults like Barrage, against what they're running, using bomb aggressively is never going to get huge value. Now look, that's just the way it is. It's just you can toss it towards the end and you might get a pick, great. But they use pulse, but if they didn't use pulse, they still have pulse then. They have barrage, so like you need to look out for that. And they have other heroes who you could dive. But against this team comp, which has really mobile people, unless you're going like let's Fire Mercy, who's a really easy 2 heroes to get. It's the one thing I would always say. Don't be afraid to fucking toss it at Fire Mercy. And especially in a map like this, it's really open. If she boosts up in the air, you just toss it up at her. You're nearly guaranteed to get a kill. It's a really high chance. So you can use it then. But when you know they have ults, that you can like your job is kind of to check the fire with the barrage, keep an eye on the trace or stuff like that. Don't use your barrage, or if they have a May, if they have grav, all this sort of stuff. Never use your grav or bomb when you're kind of tracking their ults and when they have ults, because then it's an opening for them to use it more than anything. But if there is a chance against other comps to use it, but right now they are too mobile to get any value. Now Zen might get picked, or if you toss it up a Fire Mercy, all well and good. But you are running Rush, and your Sombra and Tracer have fecked off, not doing their job. I don't know if Sombra has hacked anyone yet. So, and I wouldn't be using your orb, like say, for instance, when you're rotating through here, don't use your orb when you rotate through here because you're speeding. So you'll run out of it. You'll eventually run out of it. Kind of use it if you're stabilizing or if you're getting into the fight more so than anything. Because you've used your healing orb, then you had to fade out a barrage, so now your healing orb gets 0 value and stuff like that. But to be honest, no, we didn't really do our job. Oh. Hold up. Yeah. Sorry, I just was curious on how Tracer was. So we'll look at this fight again. We'll look at it slowly. Remember, always be checking if you did it. Now, when you're running this comp and you're all back, it's Tracer or Sombra who touched the point. Okay, just in case you're kind of thinking, right, who touches the point? That's who you kind of want contesting point. Tracer, Sombra. More so Tracer. Sombra might want to touch it and have Transocate back out just in case Tracer can't. But otherwise, it's kind of Tracer who wants to keep it in check, and then Diva if you need to drop down and fly back up if Tracer goes out. But you're coming at that stage and who's touching. But to start off, Tracer, and even on a payload map and stuff like that, Tracer is more than likely the person who you want touching the point. So that's grand. Tracer touches the point. Monkey jumps up. Okay, you're only coming back at that, that's alright. So this is more of a fucking chaos fight. Not too worried about this, it's contesting. Alright, so that was a pure shit show. Okay, so remember when we're VOD reviewing ourselves, it's the same thing. Your job at the start, what you should be doing, and then look at it. Right, what did I do to that fight? Did I do actually my job? Did I do what I was supposed to do, or what in a macro level did I do that, or what could I have done better? Always say that to yourself. Or if you did something good, what did I do good? Okay, maybe I want to be doing that more often. Stuff like that. So when you're VOD reviewing yourself after a scrim, this is the stuff you should be doing before each fight. Just see if they didn't change any comms at the top of your team. Watch your job, and then see if what could you have done better. And that's all at the minute. It's all macro stuff. It's nothing micro. We're not looking at anything in detail. It's just on a kind of a vague level. We didn't actually have to talk about ults because we actually didn't get any ults until now throughout the whole fight. But again, all this planning and stuff like that, like I said, also play a factor in it. And I'll just go over here before the next map is. So we have number 1 here, which is the fight or before the fight or that kind of area. The next is the information you've gathered, just 2. So this information is anything from what else you have, what else they have, flankers, team comp changes, where they're positioned, all this sort of stuff goes into number 2, which is the information. Okay, that's the information. This is the fight or before the fight. Like it could be during the fight. Anything like that. Can't even remember how to spell that right. I'm a fucking dyslexic, so I apologize.
Yeah, you got it. Just a T.
Yeah, okay. I was like, fuck, I'm shitting the bed here. And then number 3 is, and the most important part, and it's the part we need to bring into every aspect of our gameplay, and it's one I will be consistently stressing to you every single VOD review or every single scrim or whatever, is now what we do with this information. Okay, comms are great. We can come. You could be the best team in the world for fucking the fight ends, and you know what else do they have? They have this. Or you get 100% of the time. You could be ringing off this information, and you could be fucking patting yourselves on the back, and it's all we're fucking great. But that's not worth a shite unless you do this step. Okay, that's not worth a shite unless this step or this info affects how you play individually and as a team. Information should always affect how you play, whether it's whether it's the smallest thing from a tracer being on a flank. How does that information affect you? Well, it affects now Diva's keeping an eye out behind. It affects maybe Lucio's looking out for a peel. It affects now that Meat knows there's a tracer on the flank, whether he's on Ana, whether he's on BAP. He needs to keep an eye out for the footsteps. He needs to keep an eye out for have his sleep ready. Maybe he plays a bit more passive with his sleeps. Okay, you know they have grav. How do you play? Maybe you want to, and you're playing, say for instance, you're playing Brawl, and you know they have grav, and they're running like a double bubble, or they're running Ryan's Eye or something like that. How could the information of knowing they have grav, how could that affect you if you're running, say, a Brawl comp, standard Brawl make read? How could that information affect how you play?
Well, we'd have to have a counter rope ready, or engage first, so they have to use it in a situation where they don't want to, or one of that.
Yeah, so that information is going to affect you whether, like you said, you have a counter hold. Maybe me with Imo plays really conservative, and his Imo on is like, right, I know they have grav, I need to save this. Maybe you go super aggro on this area to force her to grav, or else you kill her, so that G can Hayes can kind of get ready to eat because you know that's what you're playing for. Stuff like this. It can be any bit of information, any bit of ult they have. EMP will now affect how you play, affect how you position, affect what ults you use. Ults that you have will affect how you play. Stuff like this. So this is so important. The information, it can be any kind of information, should always change your mindset, change any sort of part of your gameplay. It should never just be you call ults and then you just go through this emotion of running a comp. Okay, it should always affect your gameplay, but always affect your gameplay for the better. Okay, so that's hugely important. Every scrim, every map, everything, this should always be something. It's so important. I'll always be talking about it, and this should always be something that you should be doing individually as well. So when you're doing your VOD review, see if you have comms, see, and you're going over comms. So it's always nice if you can, if it is possible to stream maybe one game a week, so that you do have comms, maybe, so that you can go with comms with your VOD review or something like that if you want. But comms are always nice to have alongside, because then you know if something was called and maybe you missed it, or so then you can check. Then, for instance, did we get information, and how did I actually change how I played about this information? How did I do anything with this information, or did I just go about the motions? Okay, that's hugely important. And again, we're talking about how we VOD review. Okay, so that's what we're starting off about. We all want to be able to VOD review our macro gameplay. We all want it so that we can better ourselves. And it's hugely important that we start off on this. So the fight's over there, so we go on to the next map. Oh, Steve. Right. Okay, you've got standard rush v rush, mirror comp. Starting off in the other direction this time. You're playing Winston. What's your job? You're VOD reviewing this map. Think to yourself, right, what is my job against their team comp?
Take the high ground with my team initially. Oh no, wait, we don't do that. We do the thingy. Well, we do our like strat where we go around to the edge of the traffic thingy, and then, well, at this point I wouldn't know who they actually have on their team, so scouting or from whoever, either asking it from Raptor or getting it from myself. I mean, this first fight is gonna be a bit brawly. I wouldn't even know what myself to do. I'd play for as much cleave as I can here, building ult, and seeing if there's any opening that we can find, and try to go from there. I can't particularly see any win condition straight off the bat for me.
As using visual, yeah, as Winston on this comp, it's hard for you to individually put out source damage, stuff like that. Your cleave and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Your bubble usage can be used.
But they
to
are
split the
that, like I
team.
said, they are quite like death bully, so I will be charging my primal quite fast. So I think I just could concentrate on doing that, because if I'm charging my primal faster than their monkey, then I'm just gonna survive for longer. So
Except for this
I
is the
guess.
team comp. You're running the Winston on your. You don't know what they're running, but on your team, you're just playing this rush style comp. You're playing together. You're playing for hacks. You're kind of controlling the high ground, Winston, getting the high ground, getting advantage point to see what they're running, stuff like that. Same thing we talked about the Sombra. Just looking for hacks with this kind of comp. Diva is like the best fucking hack you can look for. Once you get Diva, they're really open because your Reaper gets away with so much and their Reaper doesn't get the amount of appeal. Their Monkey is just free fucking pickings if Diva is not in the game, because she's hacked. It's alright to hack the Monkey, but Matrix is there to peel for it, stuff like that. But if you hack the Diva, it's Matrix is so strong in this comp that it's a nice pick. It's a nice it's just a really nice hack to get off. It's like a win condition nearly. Also on Sombra, you're looking to get control of health packs, stuff like this. So the Mega's a mega nice health pack to get. The likes of this health pack here is grand. If you're playing this side, get this one here. There's ones over this side as well. You can always get little minis if you want. You're running this team comp. You're not a spammy team comp. Okay? You don't want to be taking spam. So you're running out the gate. You kind of want Sombra to be scouting what they're running first before you make any plans, because you can say, let's take high ground. That could be your first plan. It's all well and good if they're running a comp that's just going to fucking spam you out the door and you're taking a shitload of damage before you can even engage in the fight. Okay, so you're scouting on Sombra.
Would
Yeah.
you say that a good general plan for right now, like if we've figured out their comp, we know everything, to hack their Diva and to just go balls deep on the monkey?
Yeah, so like in general, if you know that like at the minute you don't know what they're running. Okay, so you're kind of Sombra scouting to
I'm
the
saying if we now know,
If
like
you
I'm
now
saying,
know,
like our
if
general
you know,
plan would be to like try to hack Diva and go on the monkey, because
yeah,
obviously
so
then she can't eat for him.
when you know what they're running, okay, so it's literally just this is what it is. It's fucking they're both your team comps, and you're just literally going to fucking into each other with all your resources. You've got speed going in, you're just running into each other. It's more of kind of Sombra's looking for the hack onto this person here, onto the Diva, because now that Matrix is out of play, he's really fucking vulnerable. He can't play super. This guy can't play super aggro because he doesn't have a Matrix to protect him. Because a Reaper will always just walk forward and then fade out. But he can get more value walking forward because he's not taking damage or Matrix. But the minute he starts taking damage, he'll then fade out. Okay, stuff like this. So you're kind of when you hack the Diva, you can go straight for the Winston. You can go straight for the Diva to burn her off because she can't fly out. Because the Winston will more than likely jump out. So you can go straight for the Diva. But getting the hack onto the Diva is such a nice, and just keep hacking the bitch. Keep fucking hacking her every chance you get.
I think, should we prioritize pocketing a Reaper more than monkey? Because I feel like if we
Well, when you're
keep our
pocketing,
Reaper
as far
more in
as
if we keep Reaper in the fight longer, then that's just more damage and forcing their monkey to go away quicker, and it's just forcing more resources from them.
so as far as pocketing goes, we're talking say about Matrix and kind of heals. So on a general level, Winston will get very little value when a Reaper's in play and when a Diva's in play. It's hard for a Winston as without ults and stuff like that to get value. So your bubble kind of is used to split up the team, that kind of thing. You're getting your cleave damage in, you're backing out, that sort of stuff. Maybe you're following up. Maybe if you get them low and they're backing out, then you're diving in because that's when you can then finish people off, stuff like that. But on the initial fight, Reaper is who's frontlining with your damage. So when there's a Reaper putting pressure on their Winston, you can put cleave on, but you can get out. But the longer your Reaper stays in the fight before he backs out, the kind of more chance you have of winning. Okay, so the longer you can keep your Reaper up, and you want obviously you're not just completely ignoring your Winston. Like you want to keep your Winston up as well. And there's a fight here where there's a perfect example of this, and I'll show you in a minute because I had watched over it, and it was a fight I was actually going to talk to you about all this stuff. But I'll go to it. I actually might use that fight then to go through it all. But at the minute we're just kind of going through. Right, our job is this. So we talked about our job. Myers' job, me. What's your job? Okay, we're just going to go. You know what you're running, and you know what they're running. As a Meyer now, what is your job?
To obviously heal, but to keep our monkey alive, to maybe stop a hack if I see a Sombra on the side. Trying to hack our diva, trying to keep my orbs until the enemy diva is hacked. And just keeping everyone kind of alive, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really nice one there. I was kind of hoping if there's a Sombra on the flank, just keep her in check. Same as like Diva would doing or whoever would be doing. All it takes to tickle. Just keep her in check. You can just flick to the right or whatever and come back to your team. Maximizing your heals. So remember, Myra only has so much heal. So make sure when you engage that you didn't take spam damage. And that's why I was saying it, because Meep's going to want his heal. So it's super important for you to be calming this Meep. There's no point them saying, right, let's go in, and you staying quiet, and then you are only on half heals when you can go in. So remember, guys, it's up to you not to take spam damage. So that's where the scouting comes in, because when you go in, you want the maximum amount of heals. And then Meep, obviously, you want to be common, right? And this is why comms go important. Did I actually com that I have run out of heals? Because that's kind of when you want to back up, unless the fight is winnable, or unless you have your ult or something. Stuff like that. Matzer, also orbs, like you said, orbs super important. Be smart with your orbs. Diva's going to be looking to eat them, okay, because they're hugely important. So if Diva gets hacked, Diva gets demeched, all that sort of stuff. Now it's hard in the middle of a fight when you're taking a shitload of damage not to use your orbs, but try kind of not just spam them. That's just a big thing. Just get the max. Try focus on getting a max value. So when you're VOD reviewing yourself, just kind of look at, right, did I actually need to use orb there? Or how could I have better? Could I wait an extra second or two to use orb? And I say a second or two because Overwatch is a game literally of seconds. All right. So could I wait that extra second or two just to use my orb? Okay. Did I kind of just spam it? Stuff like that. Or even if you are fighting in certain areas, like this area here, which there is a fight in, okay, you don't need to throw your orb into their team. Okay. If it's a healing orb, just kind of toss it off, the bouncing back and forth if possible. Stuff like that. Use it in those rooms. Kind of, did I use my orb right there? Or could I use it in a better way? Because during the game, it's going to be say that if you go out and play now before your VOD review, during the game you'll do stuff, and then the VOD review you pick it out. Maybe I shouldn't have done it after, but it's only when you continue VOD reviewing yourself that you'll kind of get better at doing things. Because like you'll play a scrim, say tomorrow you did a scrim, then you individually VOD reviewed a map on that scrim, and you went through the stuff and like this is what I want to do. The next scrim you might only do 1 out of 10 things you said. But the more you VOD review yourself and the more these times you go over these, the more it'll stay in your head and kind of become part of your gameplay, because the more you look out for it. So it's super important to kind of, that's why I'm kind of getting you to VOD review yourselves a lot as well. But yeah, on my point of view, yeah, that's kind of what you said, and just super important that you're kind of checking when you use your orbs and stuff like that. As far as Reaper goes, super important that you stay up, you're not doing anything stupid, you're kind of playing with your team. Because the more you go on flanks, the more they'll kind of put pressure on your team. But if you're playing with your kind of team or playing around your team, a Winston is less likely to go hard engage on your team. Or Diva is less likely to go hard in your team unless their Reaper's up. So you're putting tons of damage in. If their Winston's in your face, fucking shit damage onto him. Get him out of the fight, okay? Maybe if you see the Reaper after coming in after using Fade on the Reaper, if you have ult, you can TP into their backline and ult, but make sure that's something you're common, stuff like that. TP up onto the high grounds, use high grounds around your team, super important Reaper. Come that you're fading out so that your team knows you're out of the fight. So you're going in, never use your fade to go forward. So if they're in front of you, if their team is here and you're here, okay, and you fade forward, that is a big no. Okay, that can never happen. Okay, fade is your survival tool. So you want to be walking into the fight and fading out of the fight. Okay, that should always be how fade is used 90% of the time, unless you're chasing down some fucker as a team and you're too slow and fading gives you that bit extra speed or whatever. But fade is never to be used going forward. always backwards, back to protection because you're keeping yourself up. You're back for heals, back to a health pack, stuff like that, and combat your team. I'm fading out. Right, disengage. Okay, disengage. And
What is
one
Moira
thing,
Fade cooldown off the top of the head, if anyone knows?
Moira fade.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't tell you. Cooldowns. I don't play much Moira. It's reasonable. It's quick enough, isn't it? It's like 5-6 seconds or something.
I don't know.
Let me
It's
have a
not
look
that
at the
short.
wiki.
I think it's. I thought it was short enough, but I generally couldn't tell you. Yeah, but using, remember, like Myra, like Reaper, Fade's super important. You never want to use a Fade to engage. Fade's always kind of like your get out of jail free card, for instance.
6 seconds.
I see.
Yeah.
Shorter than I thought.
Yeah, Myra Fade's like generally like it's short enough, like so. Same with Reaper and Myra. Fade super important. It's your get out of jail free card. Never waste it. Okay, but never be afraid to use it to get out of a fight either. Never be kind of like, oh fuck, I am low HP, but I might be able to get this kill and then get picked off as well. So kind of like when you're VOD reviewing yourself, is like, right, did I use Fade properly there? Or did I overstay my welcome as Reaper and get picked off? What could I have done different? Was that TP right? Or all this sort of stuff. When you're VOD reviewing yourself, be super clinical yourself. Ults, again, we'll talk about ults when we get them, but on Diva, okay, big one here. Okay, lost a lot of jobs on this comp. What's your job? You're looking at both teams. What is your job?
Most importantly, spy check. So someone can get a hack on me because I'm the priority target. So I guess you can like keep my main tank alive, which is another thing that I have to do. Especially keep an eye on the Reaper so that he just doesn't burst my monkey immediately. Eating, of course, Moira orbs, especially the heal orbs, so that they don't have as much sustain as they would usually have. If I hear the Sombra hack animation, for example, swing around and just shoot because I'm hit scan anyways, I'm gonna cancel hack.
Yeah.
Watch out for my Sombra as well. That, for example, if she's going for a hack, that I matrix her so she can get hack through.
Yeah.
And as always, keep an eye on Johnny if he doesn't have Fate, for example, and he's really vulnerable.
Yeah. So on Diva, your job, you call out your job. So, like you said, spy checking for Sombra. Within reason. Spy checking a bit before fight. Don't be spy checking during the fight. Or like a few seconds before the fight. Because you have your back to your team. Or you're not looking at your team. When you're going in and when the fight's going on, your main focus is allowing him to get as much value as possible, keeping an eye that he can get out with his jump and stuff like this, keeping him up. Like when, well, also he's going for a hack on the Diva call. He's going for it. Just keep an eye out. Matrix him so he can't be cancelled. As well, Moira orb stuff like that. But remember, when you're running this comp, you do want him to get a lot of value. When you're in their face, he's your damage dealer. He's what's going to burn the Winston. So remember, keep an eye on him. Allow him to do as much. Also, nullify him if he's pressuring your Winston. Like I said, keep your Winston up. So there's a lot to do. But everybody on your team should be spy checking. Okay, you can shoot Reaper's bullets even at range might do damage, but they'll still uncloak a Sombra. Moira can shoot around get ready to shoot when Sombra's coming. Lucio can just spam randomly at certain stages if he's not scouting. And then scouting is always an important. So remember, just check before fight what is my job. So make sure you're getting the max value of your job, like I said. And then, Micah.
Well, I want to be enabling the Reaper to get as much damage in as possible. I want to be calling in speeds, in and out, guiding enemies if needed. If they do get a big hack off, spy checking and scouting.
Yeah. So we're on Lucio. Okay, so we're controlling, like I said, we control the pace of how we play. Alright, you're controlling your engages in and out. Okay, like the Ryan, you're doing the same for your Winston, you're doing the same for your Reaper. You're going in, but also when they're getting out and your team's getting out, you want to be able to speed out. Okay? You want to have your amp, it's a very important, especially in this comp, to have cooldown management. So don't just amp just for the sake of doing it. Always have a purpose for doing it. So when you're VOD reviewing yourself, right, did I need to amp there? Or did I just do it for the sake of doing it? Alright? Also, even on their team, what can you do as Lucio against what they're doing?
Well, I can boop them away if they're getting too close.
There, that's the big one. Okay, Winston dives in, boop him back. But even actually, to be honest, you can boop him back if you're low or whatever. But like, if he dives in, it's not a bad thing. If he goes aggressive, boop him back. That's the big one I want to look out for. If he goes aggressive, boop him out of range. Boop him further back, because then his damage is immediately reduced, and the likes of him is now more vulnerable because he's not outputting damage. So remember, you can, if they are coming in, it's like that sort of peel thing. Keep an eye out. If Reaper is kind of coming in, boop him out of range. If he's attacking your Rhine, if he's on your Winston, boop him away from him. Stuff like that. So to see, could I have done more there? Could I have got to that Reaper? Could I have peeled more better there? Stuff like this. So we'll see how the first fight plays out. More thing. And we're more looking at individual gameplay at the minute that we are team. Okay. If you're going this way, I'm just going to say it now. And you want to hack this, play with your Sombra Diva, so that she doesn't get spammed out hack. If you're playing for this mega, but you run this way and don't hack, is kind of what you're looking for. If you are going to go this way to hack the mega to have it, but if not, if you are going for megas or going for the hacks, like, and you're meeting another team, you kind of want to be there to Matrix or Sombra. So you have high ground. Everybody's up on the high ground. The Reaper Sombra didn't go up. Right. So after looking at a fight and you're looking at your individuals, do you think you did your job? Don't all speak at the same time. Right, Micah, do you think you did your job? Well, like, you know, you're
Like,
well, on Lucio, do you think you did your job there?
mm,
No, I'm not talking. This isn't me talking. I don't want you looking at how your team played. I want you
yeah.
focusing on how you played. So do you want me to play that fight again?
Well, no, but I feel like we haven't really gone in as a team, so I wasn't really
But
speeding
not
them
even a
in or
team.
anything. No, but I
You
wasn't
was
really
on
pulling
Lucio.
engages or. Ah,
I think it's good that you
yeah.
critique yourself. It's a good thing. Don't be afraid to critique
Mhm.
yourself. You didn't do your job. Say it.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
good.
did.
It means that you're like, yeah. Like if you didn't I can say now that you didn't do your job.
Yeah.
All right, you did grand at the start. You won the fight. You did good. You took high ground. I really like that you took high ground here and you won the high ground. Stuff like that. Things got messy, and that's when everybody kind of started making mistakes individually and stuff like that. Hacking at the wrong time, diving a hero on their own, but no backup. Stuff like that. Ulting when the fight was over. So we didn't really do our job properly. We didn't play well as a team, but individually we didn't do our jobs. So coming into the next fight, okay, same again. Your scouting, the information you get should affect how you play. All right, I'm gonna say it now. I hated what happened here. Okay, you've got Reaper TP'd up to here, which is all well and good, and you followed him, but and I know we're talking individual, but I'm just gonna say it now just in case before you do it again. He was left and was left. Okay, like Lucio can get up there within reason, but can still be dove. And if Lucio goes up, well, he's free picking. There is zero ways. I don't know if there's some sort of jump you can do here or something, but even that's not the point. You kind of just left your Maya free picking here, and even if she fades out, she's still going to be killed because she can't get up the high ground. So make sure if you're diving high grounds that you can all get to the high ground within some sort of time span of each other. All right, I'm not going to bother asking. You'll know yourself you did your job, but that fight was over before it started, so it's kind of hard to see why you did your job. This next fight is kind of the main one I kind of wanted to have an hour look at. I think this might be the best vantage find. All right. Actually, look at it from maybe here. I might get to see better. Right. So look at individually what you did, because I don't like this is all individually quite poor. Right. Fight's over. We've already haven't done our job. Okay, so Reaper TP'd up on the high ground, but was challenging people on his own. You didn't matrix the monkey once. Took you way too long to toss out orb. In the fight, we hacked. Did we hack anyone? Don't think we hacked anyone. We didn't pressure the Reaper. Micah, their Reaper just walked forward and didn't get booped away or didn't get kept out of distance. He kind of sat back. And this was kind of where I. Quinn. Sorry. So like this is when I was saying, remember, okay, so one of the questions earlier was, one of the things you said earlier, his was spy checking. Okay, and I'm just saying this now because everybody should be spy checking. Spy checking is done before, but not during. Okay, and we kind of spy checked during this fight, which kind of cost Winston his life. Mikey, you need to be up in front to boop. You're all the way sitting at the back. Okay, like your Myra is up ahead of you. And we were talking about, do we pocket our Reaper? Do we pocket our Winston? Reaper's up here. We can't pocket him up here, but our Winston's here, so we can pocket him then. Okay. So remember, your pocket will change. Like Reaper's putting himself up here. That's all right. So now you're pocketing the Winston. But remember, as Reaper, like if you're challenging the high ground, you're all challenge. Well, half of your challenge the high ground, like the Winston, like the Diva, but you're staying this side just to take it. Then you're dropping off if you need it. But individually, if you're pocketing, it's the Reaper to go forward here, maybe kill this Reaper or whoever's dropping onto you to keep him up. But this fight here, no one did their job with any way reason. Okay, it was all a mess. I'll go through it again. You'll see it now. So everybody look at what you did individually here. All right. So I'm gonna pause it there. So did you see anything that you did? Did you any of you do your job there? Felt like you did nearly some of your job. So for instance, Meep, you stayed alive pretty well through that fight. Okay, you might have used your orb area or whatever, but you stayed alive. So you did your job within reason. Like, okay, you killed yourself because the fight was over, but other than that, you stayed alive. You didn't feed. You kept safe. Did you use your orb? But what you need to do look now is, did I use my orbs right? Could I have healed, maybe pre-healed someone, or could I have been healing someone instead of shooting, or whatever? Did I calm my healing stuff? But for any reason, I think you were pretty much only one who might have done their job right. Two small guys in far staying alive. Sombra couldn't really hack anyone, but it was too late because you didn't look for the hack. You could have played for it. or even hack the Reaper as a last minute ditch when he went forward, maybe catch him off or force him out. Because he can't, like, if Reaper's going aggressive on your Winston and starting to get hacked, he's going to fade out. If not, he's really killable. So there's a perfect example of like a fight of sitting back, look at your fight slowly, see if you did your job or what you could have done better. Because there's lots that you could have done better, but you won't notice until you individually VOD review that yourselves. So super important there. Right. Sorry. I won't talk about DMP because it was an ult, a really bad ult, but we're not talking about ults that much here. Alright, so 86, rotating again.
Shit's intense.
I'm not talking because I'm not talking about it. Just keep watching your individual play here. Keep asking yourself, are you doing your job or what can you be doing?
Oh. Who is this guy? He fucking went for the Kobe.
Okay, so after watching that, when from their attack point of view, did you do your jobs or could you have done better there?
It's hard for me to say, like, personally
Oh,
about
no, there's no. I'm
myself.
not expecting. I know. I'm not expecting you to say it. Yeah, I'm not
I'm
expecting you
trying,
because
like, to
you
say
weren't
what
there.
I can.
Yeah, like I can tell you straight up there, Winston did not but feed. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, but I don't want to be mean to him
Yeah.
because
I'll
he
say this
plays
now.
off tank,
I
doesn't he?
hate when Winston players do this. And Mark, if you see this, you do it all the time as well. A lot of Winston players do this. Primal is not a get out with jail free card. You can't jump in on your own as Winston and it's like, oh, I'm just yeeting in here and I'm going to ult to keep myself alive. That's fucking nonsense. And that's exactly what happened there. He jumped in and had his ult because I can get out with free. All he did there was.
I'd never do that. No.
Yeah, all he did there was end. Okay, so Winston's ult, and I'll talk about here, is great for disrupting the team or when a team's in a room to knock squishes into a corner. But it only gets value when your team is with you. Oh, I'm getting a phone call.
Yo, Kev, what's up, man? Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, I know. Oh, really? I thought it was only 3 inches. Ah.
Right, I'm back. Sorry. So,
Hi.
like I was saying, Winston gets value when he's in a. It's great when he's in a room where has people in a corner, is disrupting people and stuff like that. But your team, you have to be like that's your engage. Winston can be going in, but you need to be engaging with him. Okay, because he gets more value. So straight up, it's not a get out of jail free card. Okay, it is during a fight if you're being focused down and you don't want to die or something and you're just being forced to use it. But it's not a truly a yeet in and it's like, oh, I have a fucking ult here. I'm going to pull it when I need it. That's horseshit. Okay, so I just saying that because that's what he did there. So team, don't get any ideas. All right. Other than that, do you feel like you did your job? Whether it be some aspect of your job, you might have did one thing right, you might have did fucking 10 things right, but did you feel like you did some stuff right?
I don't want to toot my horn too much, but I felt like I did good.
You did.
I
Like you used a really
used
good
all my
orb.
orbs
Yeah.
against walls
Yeah.
that bounce back out of
100%.
deep
This is
line
what I'm
of
saying.
sight,
When I
faded
asked you,
EMPs.
yeah, when I ask you to vote of yourself, I am not telling you to be constantly critiquing yourself. Critique yourself, but also say it when you do good things. And when you're doing your own vote review and you message me your kind of little list that you've done now, I want to see stuff that you did well in there as well, not just bad things. There's no point vote review yourself and only giving out about yourself. Okay, doing your job, you could do one job right, but at least you did that job. Okay, you could do 10 things, 10 out of 10 things right, and that's fucking brilliant. You might be the best fucking player in the world, but even the best players in the world don't do 10 out of 10 things right. Okay, so you might do one thing right, but at least say, I did my job, I did one thing right. It's have the confidence to say it. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. But also know then when you do something bad. So it works both ways. So if you're gonna say, if you say you wanted to say it, you did something right. It's like, yeah, I did some stuff right. I did some stuff wrong. But yeah, like you did do a lot of stuff right there, maybe 100%. Like I was waiting for someone to say it. Anybody else feel like they did stuff right? I'll go back and I will because it's. I'll go back and we'll have a look at that last engagement, and I'll slow it down a bit, and we'll talk. We'll see if we did if how we got on.
I quite liked the bomb from Hayes as Jokuma or whatever his name is. It was taking his time to push out with the primal is when Hayes chucked it over the top as they're like disengaging and using their cooldowns to get out.
Yeah, that was a look. When bombs like that are great because they'll either have cooldowns and they're wasting them, or they would have used them already, and they won't have them. And like Winston might have had, I didn't see if he had bubble or not, or used bubble, but then he used it.
I
So
think
if he
he
wanted to
used,
use,
yeah.
yeah, he could have used it. So even if it didn't get a kill, you still force out pretty much all the resources. So he could have followed up then after if he wanted or had cooldowns as well. So bomb, that was a good bomb. By all means, that was a very good bomb. Yeah, it was a good like. So all I'll do is I'll slow it down here. Look at our individual. Look at your heroes, and I'll keep the fight to here. I'll have it set here.
I never understand why Winston's primal when they have full HP.
Yeah, it's like unless it makes like go in, get your cleave damage done, follow up with HP to finish off whoever.
Yeah.
Right there. Hayes, you did your job. Okay, you were keeping your matrix, keeping an eye on Reaper there in that point. That was good. Remember, like I only said it there just because I had notes there. I was like looking at everybody and I had notes at that point. But when you're looking at yourself, don't be afraid to say that you did your job.
Oh, never mind, he didn't use bubble. But still.
Micah, you're keeping the tracer in check. You're doing like that's good. You were looking out there, keeping him out, trying to do a bit of damage to him. Then you just have to keep an eye on your team, control your Reaper engagement, which is good. So yeah, you did a lot of things right there. Like when I asked you, did you think you did your job? Don't feel like I'm just waiting for you to say no. I'm absolutely waiting for you both to say yes or no. With like, and whether it's like, yeah, I did some things right. That's all right. I did everything right. That's all right to say as well. Once you're able to say it, like that's what you feel like. But you 100% did a lot of things right there. I'll keep this next fight in slow motion. Just keep an eye on yourself.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna say that now. That don't count that as you not doing your job. That's fucking Matzer. That was criminal what you did there. Okay, it's all right to stage here on Reaper, but when your team is going to take the fight here, okay? Because if you stage here, you want to be able to take the fight when they come out here because you want to be able to put the damage in and your team wants to jump in. But because the plan probably wasn't to jump in, you were just rating out here and then you're like, fuck.
I think the plan was to jump in. We were just very, very late.
Okay, well then that's
I think that's on us.
okay. Fair enough.
Or it was the fight after, but I do think the plan was to
Oh.
EMP when they come through door.
EMP.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. If that was the plan. If it's the plan to take it there, it's 100% then to take that flank as Reaper. Absolutely. You're in the fight already. You don't have to TP in, and TPing into a fight is like don't not do that. That's always really good because you're not as quick as everybody else or stuff like that. So TP into a fight if you need to, or behind them and then rate out. But if that's the team fight, if that was the plan, then it's on you then instead of him. So you're kind of forced to use Cole, but that was a fucking humongous EMP. But remember, we're looking at ourselves now. Remember Matster? Okay, what? I'm just going to call you Master. No, I'm not going to call you that. I'm going to call you Matster.
It's
Remember your
it was it is Matster though. What you
Matster. Is
said.
that Matster?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know whether he just put a T in there for the sake of it or not. Yeah,
No,
Matster.
there's two T's.
Yeah, Matster. Remember, you're safest when you're at your team. So be careful going on these one-on-one. We're going off on your own as Reaper. Where the fuck is everyone?
Quick play.
That's weird.
Okay. All right. So yeah. It just ended up being a bit of a clusterfuck at the end, but it nearly always happens at the end of it. Fine. Also, make sure if this is happening that you're fucking screaming that you're on your own and Tracer's on your asshole. Make sure that's the only thing people can hear. Okay. Fucking even if you just want to just scream, just like a little girl for fucking 10 seconds straight, as loud as you can to let them know that you're fucked. Let them know it. But yeah. Otherwise, look, like at the end there, the last fight, we won't talk about the last fight. It was a bit of a fucking mess for everyone. And we got a big EMP and we followed up well. But just before I ask you any questions, the thing to take from this and the idea of it was to set you up for VOD reviewing yourselves. That's the biggest thing. Okay, so now for the next going forward, say when's your next scrim?
Well, either Sunday or Monday. We still have to talk about it. If people could do Monday.
Well, on your next scrim, for instance, say at the end of your next scrim, pick a map. Or at the side of the end of the game, right? The map this week, and you can just do it just 1 week if you want. You can do 2 a week. It's up to yourselves, okay? It's up to yourselves as a team with how many you want to do. But say starting off, you just do one. You start off this week, just do one. So pick a map. Everybody individually VOD review yourself. Be super critical, but also tell me when you did do your job and what you did right. So even if you you could say you could put in timestamp first fight because there might be only so many fights. I'm saying a control point or something, or putting a timestamp. I did this right and I did this wrong, and whatever. Just one map. It could be 20 minutes. Take 20 minutes on it. And then they send it through to me, and I look through it. And then that could be your self VOD review done. But it is super important that you all know how to VOD review yourself to a good standard. Okay. Because then that's the only way you're going to self improve yourself. Like I can do a VOD review with you in a week, and I can do team stuff, but like that's only going to get you so far. It's only going to do so much with you. Everybody should be able to like VOD review yourself. And we didn't do anything really team. We did the odd thing on team, but it was more just individual stuff this evening, and that was grand just to get you started off and start off in that, and then we'll work up. And we won't be really we won't be kind of like picking comps per map and right we're going to run this comp and this map. We're just going to be focusing on or like have like a big the spreadsheet's grand with like was grand during kind of metas like when maps had specific meta comps, but there's a lot of comps you can run now, a lot of different play styles, a lot of things you can run. So we just need to understand our heroes first and all the heroes we play and kind of get a really good understanding of them. So then you can start. So then if you do need to kind of adapt or pick comps and all that sort of stuff, that you're able to, and you'll have a good understanding how your hero will fit into that any comp that you pick, or if you change a different hero in a comp that you're playing, how they fit in. So that's kind of like the objective at the start. Yeah. So if you have any questions, absolutely. If not, we're finished. So
Yeah.
and if you have any questions afterwards or any time any question comes to you any days, just like I said, fucking message me. Absolutely message me, 100%.
Thank you,
Right.
baby.
No problem. You all good?
Alright, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
Right. Cool.